Hi. How have I been? How is you? Hi, no matter. Hi. Happy Monday. I'll be dead honest. I don't remember what happened last time. This is usually where I recap what happened. I don't fucking remember. Greetings. Yes. Hello. Hi. Happy because you're here. Aw, hell yeah. You sound lovely today. Do I? Does that mean my mic's fucked? Is something wrong? Hold on. Let me go make sure. No, it says it's good. You always sound lovely. Can't wait to blame Rika. It's fine. Okay. I'm so ready for something to be wrong. I'm so ready. I guess it's just because we're reading Higurashi. Like, I'm already in that mindset of like, oh, shit's fucked. Ooh. Oh, yeah, I was going to see how many chapters we had left. Let me go quick look. The only way I know how to tell is because there's like, okay, so there's 15 achievements, -1 for doing the after credits, -1 for seeing all the tips. So there's 13 chapters, allegedly. And we're on chapter 9. We're almost done! Oh my god, we're almost done with this book. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I can't quite remember what everything happened. I just know shit's fucked. But, I mean, when isn't it fucked? I also really like this track. So yeah, we're just gonna get right in there, bruh. I should apologize, Reina. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that. It's okay, Keiichi-kun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught. Oh, right! She told Keiichi that, fuck, what was it? It's all a conspiracy theory or something, that there's some parasite in the people who live in Hinamizawa. Oh, that's right. And she was like, I can't tell you too much more because they're watching. Right. Who are they? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama? Seize your happiness. Yes, we're never gonna forget that. Oh my god, fucking love that. I think they don't realize that they're pawns, but I'm sure the masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling the strings behind the scenes ever since the dam conflict. I heard that people working for the Sonozaki family did something similar during the dam conflict itself. Yes, everyone knows that. Oshi-san told me that. There was a kidnapping incident during the dam conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the dam construction. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I'd never heard that before.
The minister submitted to the demands that they made behind the scenes. That's why the incident never went public. Oshi-san only knows about it because he was in charge of the case.
Okay. And? For some reason I feel sad not going to work, even though they didn't cancel the day. I'll talk to the super and see what we can do. Oh, I'm sure it's fine, Rusu. I mean, when shit's going on, shit's going on. Like, you know, I doubt, like, they'll be that heartless.
According to Oshi-san, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know that the Sonozaki family gave orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At the time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, had announced the plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attack corps using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki family's command. She was very serious about the plan and putting the Ministry of Constructions down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction. Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam pond project, even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan sounded a lot like her. Yeah, hoping for now I'll enjoy the stream and seize my happiness. Yes, good job, Rizu. Yes, yes. In the end, the plan ended up as nothing more than that. But the Special Attack Corps actually did undergo training, at a high-level training at that. Oshi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. At the time, Oryu even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Onigafuchi Guardians would choose to stay in their homes and drown. So because Oryu was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea that an armed assault of the Ministry of the Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up in case the resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from the Oryo in preparation for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryo after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well.
It sounds like this is coming from a movie or something.
Do you remember how Michan said that she could do anything, from flying helicopters using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Michan joined in the training.
So it was all true?
Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have at least to believe that the death squad actually exists in Hinamizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of the government minister.
I didn't take a close look at the four men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to be just taking a break, but I could tell that they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you?
I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already.
So, what do they want? Are they after Takano-san's scrapbooks?
Like you saw yourself, the group was very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep.
They haven't done that yet, so that must mean they're taking it cautiously.
They're probably not sure if I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them, but they found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now that I think I'm the one that has them. But they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence.
Reina, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared, but they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oshi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens.
What did he say about them?
He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so that he could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes.
Did you tell him about the scrapbooks?
No, I didn't.
I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you.
Keiichi-kun, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oshi-san would believe me if I told him any of this.
Reina, let's not make any more confusing than it already is. Just tell me, what is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mio-san?
Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbook are true, the god they worshipped will be dethroned.
Their god? Dethroned?
Yes. The sanctity of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect people's belief in Oyashiro-sama.
Reina, can you explain it a little more simply than that? I'm confused.
In other words, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god.
He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believe so strongly in Oyashiro-sama.
There are many teachings of Oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village, and don't let anybody into the village. One could even say the rest of the teachings are developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later on that they added aspects like love your neighbor, or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe in Oyashiro-sama does all of that for them, but in truth, it's that the people abused his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of the Onigafuchi swamp and attacked people. In fact, well, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp to attack people, because people became demons and attacked the others while they possessed by whatever came out of the swamp. Whatever came out of the swamp.
What do you mean by that?
Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out of the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw the disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story of the demons that came of the Onigafuchi swamp.
It actually explains the legend. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country?
Yes. That's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. He came to Onigafuchi and he treated the infectious disease, but he couldn't cure it for good. All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made up of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent systems. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasite came out of the water sources, including Onigafuchi swamp. They couldn't They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and coexist with the parasite. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them.
That's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama? The benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon?
That's right. And Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people could remain suppressed. The rules were never to leave the village and never let anybody into the village.
I understand why he didn't want anyone new into the village, but it was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone. But I don't understand why he didn't want people to leave.
It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of symptoms in order to prevent the host from leaving the village when they try. That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violent and delirium. violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That was what they really meant by demoned away. Wait a second, Reina. That means everybody in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa. You're right. That's because things went as Yashiro-sama thought they would. Do you understand? He isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host are to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasite would die with the host, too. I see. You're talking about natural selection. Good thinking, Keiichi-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood. That's written in the legend of Yashiro-sama. So, that means the parasite is almost harmless now. Yeah. According to Mio-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by the harmless parasites. It depends on the local food culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat is the staple food are infected by parasites. But because parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them and treats them. Or tries to get rid of them. I see. Rena just casually mentioning the most vile truth Keiichi like it's their homework. Yeah, you know, just Higurashi things. Oh my goodness. In olden times, Watanagashi was called, oh boy, Harawatanagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It said that people back then used to eat the guts of the infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do. Eating the infected people? Are you talking about a vaccine? You're very smart, Keiichi-kun. Mio-san also interpreted it just as you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. They created a vaccine from the infected people who died and extremely strong parasites, and that helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system. Who was Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he German? German science is the finest in the world. Sorry. Is the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck? I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort. It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind the old legends. I don't think Reina's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I never heard of any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential for us staying alive. Oh, like the bacteria in yogurt, right? I see. This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? They eat wood, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have a unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers, and as a result, termites can absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites. I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out and almost instinctively, but now I know that some of them aren't as bad to us. So, the weird infectious disease that broke out from Onigafuchi's swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated, I should say it's harmless now.
I thought it was a crazy story at first, but now I feel like I just saw a trick behind some crazy kind of magic. It's interesting.
It is to us, but for the cult of Oyashiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory.
Of course. If Takano-san's theory was correct, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god. And the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what the dethroning god meant. So if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oyashiro-sama would be completely lost.
That's right. And that's what they're afraid of. Mio-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that she was killed.
So that means she identified it.
Maybe she did, but she's gone. She didn't say anything about it in her scrapbooks. And that's the only reason I can think of, though.
But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure that the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard of anyone discovering a weird parasite like that.
I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet, but in fact, there's evidence that there is some kind of parasite involved.
What? Really?
When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system, the cells, eosinophils and macrophages, try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin. Immune goblin. The most common way of checking if a person is affected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of the secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of IgE in their blood. And that's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being affected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. IgE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. The allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stops secreting the chemical compounds. And as a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by the parasite secretes a high level of IgE, but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of IgE because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. As a result, a large amount of stimulants, like histamine, will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that's been attempting to kill it.
They definitely didn't teach us that in school, right? Fuck. There's a lot of info here, just like in real life, you know?
As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions, and that's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your IgE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here.
So, we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question that about its existence.
Yes, that's right.
That's true. The scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers, Oyashiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence.
Yeah, it poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san.
This really is a scary secret. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me, but if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, I would have really sounded too crazy to believe.
I told you! I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't.
So what's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try and cover up the truth, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing.
The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of God that they worship. Reviving the majesty of their God means reviving the power of that God. And the power of that God is the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better. This only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of the current day Hinamizawa is different from the old one in the old times. It's been through the process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies.
That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is power of the god. So a harmless economic disease means the god is powerless. That means the only way to regain its majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful strong version of the parasite. Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god is actually a parasite, but you're saying that they're researching the parasite? Isn't that kind of contradictory, isn't it? I know it is. I think that this is research's secret that the only head the fanatics are aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god. They actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands. I get it now. Oh my god, this is getting crazier and crazier. It didn't say in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic that the manager owns. The Erie Clinic? Why? The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist, and the Sonozaki family recruited. Can't be. I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place. And he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease? It's hard to believe that the coach would know capable of doing things like that. I'm sorry. He might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing some research somewhere, that much I'm certain. And after 5 years, the research has finally been completed. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the dam construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, and the aggression, and the delirium. It might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery. But there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over a cliff, since the fence was the observation deck that they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by a primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other one off the cliff. Damn, we got this Resident Evil Higurashi edition before GTA 6. Bro. The Shinto priest died from a disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of the hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he had changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. In the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease, described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind this is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victims the delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Yashu-sama after 5 years of research. Toмотaki-san is the victim of the fifth year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa and I made it, the parasite inside me, uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though I wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. Though with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced and completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms drastically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Yashu-sama appearing for me in the bathroom was probably a terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence of Yashu-sama that I was instilled with when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on the delusion. Some of the transcendents of the Onigafuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down to the acts of God. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people of South America used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mythical experience, and that they called it a ritual to communicate with the gods. So, what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa. I think that's their goal. Oh, so the fanatics are blah blah blah. I think that's their goal, but I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religious need ceremonies. So if they created what they wanted to create and they decided to spread it, I think they'd name it the Day of Oyashiro-sama's Revival or something. They'd perform it in some kind of ceremony. It would be the celebration of revival of Oyashiro-sama.
That's a bad thing, isn't it?
I think you can say that because, well, they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen.
Isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is getting bad. They used it on Tomotaki-san, confirming they'd succeeded in duplicating the curse of Oyashiro-sama, so the day of revival might be really soon.
I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or it might take a year.
This is way out of our league, Reina. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report it to the police.
And do you think they'll believe us?
Well, it's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them.
Keiichi-kun, telling Oishi-san about all this means telling them that I have the scrapbooks.
Do you think that's a problem?
Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out about her scrapbooks were missing. They also know that she met me at the library a few days ago.
No way. You mean...
Yes. Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Oishi-san thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious and seemed to me that he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonozaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side and that he's actually their minion.
But the police are our only hope.
Keiichi-kun, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Satoko-chan's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that?
Some of the fanatics are the police and they fabricated the murderer?
It's the same as the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died of a disease, and the inspection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard of the Michan, that they also have considerable power over many organizations in Okonomiya, right?
Yeah, I have. And it's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me that the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city.
That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here.
Reina, please. I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all this? Does that mean Mion's involved too? Please tell me.
I don't know if Mi-chan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all 3 families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the 3 families or if the 3 families are controlling the fanatics. As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them.
Oh, sorry. As long as we're not careful about their involvement, it's very careful on them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Mi-chan. She's usually very reliable, and I'd ask her for help without any problem, but not this one. This one is a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Mi-chan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about all this.
If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her on our side, but what if we couldn't?
So, how are we gonna fight against them?
Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want to get you involved.
Damn it! Takano-san left us a big parting gift, didn't she?
But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will.
2 kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village? This is gonna be tough. Ordinary methods won't work.
But, Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together.
Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend.
I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring.
2 heads are better than 1.
I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted to get some time to read the scrapbooks again. But I'm going to go to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Kichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very perspective.
Okay, I'll act normal, as if I know nothing. But, damn, I am a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and it might already be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that.
I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, if they really are religious fanatics, they're going to need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any other event than Watsunagashi.
So, you're saying that we have time until the next Watsunagashi festival?
I can't promise it, but I can't think of any other event other than that. I think we have a year at least. But I also feel like we don't, because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be something bigger religious event than Watsunagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of Yashiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread this dangerous parasite, and that day might be just around the corner.
Reina, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon, it's getting late.
My father stuck his head out from the living room telling me I need to hang up the phone. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think that your parents will be on your side no matter what, but I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I think that he'd believe me anyway, even if I told him. He'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father and get to me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. Sorry, Kichi-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Be careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, I'll be careful. I remembered the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill run down my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Reina and I aren't safe. If Reina was right, they're just suspicious of her and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. It's still creepy. Reina had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must sense the danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, they could have done something, like going to the police. What they're doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them, without making it obvious. I told myself that there was no going back, and I put the phone down. What a fucking lore dump. Oh my god. The next day, Reina came to school, acting normal like she said she would. She talked with Mion as cheerful as she always did, and it made her wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. Reina said Keiichi is an outsider, can be interpreted as a threat in another book. Yeah, I know, right? That's because the story really was too ridiculously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare and endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Reina last night, and I believed everything she said. But thinking about it, with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Reina told me is based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though they are feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to the story. I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Reina. It's hard to believe that she's involved with some crazy conspiracy. Hey, are you listening, Kei-chan? Huh? What? Oh, sorry. I wasn't really paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust someone this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Reina told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them, but it might be worth telling her without letting Reina know. Of course, there's at least a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. If I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, my answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved with something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. So whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about. So what's going on, Kei-chan? What did you call me out here for? Hey, you told me not to tell anybody. You're not going to export money from me, are you? Is that the first thing you think of when you're called out to the gymnasium storeroom? Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't you? People usually use this true locker for that, though, you know. We really don't do that in the city. A lot of guys just hand over the love letters in person. Really? So wait, you're, Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you out here. I have to talk to you about something really important. I want you to listen without making fun of me. What is it? Do you know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama? Huh? What are you talking about? This, of course, was just my way of getting a feel for the situation. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this to someone pointing out the secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if it's only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything. Mion, your family, the Sonozaki family, it has a lot of influence over the region, including Hinamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama behind the scenes? Revive? Why? Well, you know, people today don't worship Yashiro-sama like the people of the old days did. So people like fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Yashiro-sama in the same way as the people of Onigafuchi. What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're even talking about. Are you sure? You really have no idea what I'm talking about. Of course I don't. It sounds like one of those popular novels that sold like 55 million copies over America. Mion's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending to do anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village for real. Do you know anything about them? You're saying that those people who want to make us worship Yashiro-sama like the people of Onigafuchi did. Well, what good would that do? You know, I think it means a lot to the people who really believe. Think about it, Kei-chan. Who would be happy to live under those strict ancient rules? In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say she's the reincarnation of Yashiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics. Are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic. Believe me, there really are people who are trying to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama. Okay. I'll believe you for now, because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out that the curse of Yashiro-sama was just an endemic disease unique to the village, and so now they're researching a pathogen. Where? First of all, what's an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? They sound gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about with myself anymore.
I was deeply influenced by Reina last night and believed everything she said, but having said it all out loud, I started realizing how impossible this story sounded. Come on, what's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you to tell me all this? How did you know? She's infamous for that kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people even gotten badly taken in by her before. She told me some stories once, and I remember they were all actually very interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard about this once or twice before, but this village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having very strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of other cruel traditions. They're well known among occult maniacs. Mio-san was definitely one of them. So, the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was... What? Parasite? Oh, is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean, new story? I told you, Mio-san is an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuchi and enjoys making up hypothesis theories, the wild stories without him. She's created a lot of different ones alongside that theory of parasites that are controlling the village. Once I heard an awful lot back about UFOs. Well, that was an interesting one since it connected a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed in the Onigafushi swamp long ago. The alien was that the UFO and the villagers had a battle, or something like that. It was one of those sci-fi horror B movies. The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth's crust opened up a connection between this and the underwater world and Onigafuchi, and... The princess of the underworld fell in love with a young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. The story about the parasites that you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. Mio began laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. So I looked at her laughing like that. I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was so obvious. I had been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mion, but please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama exist? No, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families have agreed to open up Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make the village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anybody about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, the whole area will flourish. My grandma is betting she'll make a fortune when it causes the land prices in the region to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. So, you don't think that there are people who hate outsiders? I told you! There's no such people. What makes you think that you want this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land in the village to rich people who want to build a country residences here. Your house is in the first lot we sold, Kei-chan. Didn't the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village. There was nothing vague about what Mion had said. Her story made a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. So Mion's words woke me up from that delusion. So what about this? I heard the residents of Hinamizawa have extraordinarily high levels of something in their blood, and it proves that they've been infected by parasites. Really? How did Mio-san figure that out? Well, Takano-san's a nurse, so I'm sure she could do that. And you think anyone would give her blood samples for no reason? Because I sure don't. Even if she could get the blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do you think she examined all by herself? Mion was right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all that just because she was a nurse. It struck me so hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that without any help. When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily. I heard that people here don't get hay fever, which is proof of them being affected by a parasite. Only people in cities get hay fever. I heard it was something to do with fuel emissions. Kei-chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think.
What about this? I heard that the Sonozaki family has a death squad, that they kidnapped the grandson of the government minister once. That sounds so cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Reina looked so serious. It's true, the grandson of the minister was found in Takasudo. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we did. Oh, what do you mean? Could you explain? Okay. The Onigafuchi Guardians protested violently during the dam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there were people who used the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name Onigafuchi Guardians to rob people of the money and their valuables. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive force at the time. There's a high reason possibility that some people thought they could use this name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were Onigafuchi Guardians. They kidnapped the boy to demand ransom. To tell you the truth, the members of the Onigafuchi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed that those guys actually pulled it off. I remember they even said that they'd give them a reward. Wait a second. So the Onigafuchi Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? Nope, not at all. Mion said it so firmly. It was simple and a clear answer which left no room for my suspicions. And thinking about it, it's not surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of the minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation wasn't very easy that it could be carried out by any normal residents of Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt. I totally forgot how dumb Keiichi can be. Asking a totally normal question. Yeah, no. I like how Reina's like, I think I have proof. Check this out. And he goes to Mion, and Mion's like, nah, that's bogus. That's bogus. Nah, I don't believe her. And Keiichi just goes, shit at you, right? Like, are you... Come on, man. Fuck. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were masterminds in the kidnapping case. What do you mean by that? This is a secret percent of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell anybody about this, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's the tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it works out in our favor. It can be a criminal incident, the weather, or even lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. Starts to sound like we're a very powerful organization, doesn't it? And that's the point. This is the secret strategy the only Sonozaki family heads get to know about. This strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. Wow. So, what about the plan they had during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction. Was that true? I heard that they obtained weapons and even trained for it. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out such a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe that we are capable of doing things like that, so they could exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through trainings just so they could exact pressure? They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan? The Sonozaki family is just bluffing. Now, that makes sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, they wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use common sense. Even if they did, they would believe to be crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through some training. We needed to do that in order to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from the father's office and appointed Kasai-san the leader of the group. We went to the desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Francisco afterwards. So... I couldn't think of anything else. It was so obvious now. Reina and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks left to Kano-san's delusion. Reina was so serious about it, so I believed her.
But if you examine it closely, there were so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Reina took the delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Then she came across this tall tale and she believed it. Reina's a smart girl. She wouldn't be taken by it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to school during lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Hello, I'm from the Okonogi Gardeners. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? Sure is. By the way, you look beautiful today, as always. Oh, thank you. Well, you can start wherever you think you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The quote in the invoice, I see. The date is left blank for both of them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Chie-sensei with a big smile. What are you doing here, my Barakun? Oh, principal. Who's this guy? The principal pointed his finger out the window. When I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms, taking each other's lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. They're gardeners. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to make it clean up before summer. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal took off his hat and bowed. No need. I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might have a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence, and grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously. Hey! It's dangerous out here! Get back in the classroom! It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope to the documents in it to the principal. It said Okonogi Gardeners in the green envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it off at the office next time you go down to town hall. Of course, will do. Ah, Chie-sensei, did they come here yesterday? Yeah, they came here to look at the grass then late in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. This village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere, and they can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about how she got lost, and they laughed together. God, I really like the teacher's design. It is nice. I do like Chie-sensei. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday because of what Reina had told me. At first, I thought it wasn't unusual to see a white van. But then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road and got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinamizawa, and they got lost trying to make a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around. I believed the fake-sounding story. I believed that the Sonozaki family was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it. I'm such a fool. She's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying that we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, Reina was the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. Reina seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonozaki family are the masterminds of this large-scale conspiracy. I remembered the plate number of the white van, and I also remembered their faces. Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that had been following me. So far, I've confirmed that 3 of the 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. The people who were in the other cars must be lookouts, and the ones in the van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. Lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in the van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involving both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbook said that too. If so, I better watch out, because if this was them, not the lookouts who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of their covert operation right now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking to Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of the conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and the movements of their mouths, and I played that memory of it like a videotape in my mind. Hello. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? Sure is. Thank you. Well, you can start wherever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. And I see. Is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. All right, well, I used the information I had to guess what was going on, and I played the video again and again in my mind. And I also paused and played it in slow motion again to check it many times. Something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt they're acquainted with Chie-sensei. But I've never seen them visit the school before, so it's hard to believe Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're a death squad member in direct control of the Sonozaki family. They have the local accent, which proves that they're chosen from the Sonozaki corps. The death squad was talking to Chie-sensei. They know each other. But what's their relationship? Who's Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa's school was closed as it was merged with one Okinomiya. But the Onigafuchi Guardians didn't accept that, and they made part of the forestry service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher. So it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children, and she came to work there. That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to the prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired, and they don't get demoted. They can work up until they are official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to have a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she denied the Board of Education and came to work for Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Oryo Sonozaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for denying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Oryo Sonozaki as the teacher to work at the school and the Onigafuchi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Oryo before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He is a respected person in the region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means the school has been under control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is accorded with the death squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, made a phone call, and they called them here? I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class is over. But they came to the school premises. Why? Oh, stop pretending to be a fool, Reina Ryugu. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice? Think hard and calm down, Reina Ryugu. What will they try and do to me today in school? In school? How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? That's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to go into the teacher's office during the last class of the day. And what about my clubmates? Well, that's easy too. Chie-sensei can easily make them go home using her authority as a teacher. She can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom's going to have a carpentry work done today, or they can't stay at the school. Sure, today. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. See? There's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else? Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The and I see is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie-sensei an envelope with some documents in it. The blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why is it left blank? What does it mean? I told you, Reina Ryugu. Do you still think that nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice? Stop that! So what must it mean? If that's an order from a higher-up, it says to make Reina Ryugu become blank. I took a peek from the shadows and saw the principal taking documents out of the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern, very serious. I wish I could take a peek at the documents, but it was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelopes caught my eye. The envelope said Okonogi Gardeners, and it had some numbers on them that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage operation. It probably doesn't even exist. I wanted to find out, so I looked for a phone. There's only one phone, and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers are chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go into the teacher's office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone at the principal's desk. I went over to the phone number in my head and dialed it. I'm glad they have a touch-tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, is this the Okonogi Gardeners? I'd wait for an answer before hanging up. Should be easy. It connected. The number you have dialed is... I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait. Don't make a quick judgment. You might have remembered the number wrong. No, I know I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time, I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly, but I needed to make sure, absolutely sure. The number you have dialed it's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okonogi Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad. Please make sure the number you have dialed is correct. The number you have dialed is... I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in the attempt to cool down. Calm down, Reina. Calm down, Reina Ryugu. Stay cool. Reina Ryugu. I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, it might be erased, even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday I told him I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain. I cut up the clues, information, the facts, just as I'd cut the vegetables and threw them in the pot. Some of them were floating to the surface, and others were at the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun's on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me in the trash piles. There was no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised me he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I should trust. He's the only one who's on my side right now. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I doubted Keiichi-kun, the only one who's on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not matter to them. Erase anyone who's suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oyashiro-sama's revival might just be around the corner, and that's why they're trying to get rid of the small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means necessary before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oyo Sonozaki saying that. Picture? No, she did say that! That's why they're here today. What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school's over? It was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped the net, I was in the pond. And they owned the pond. I didn't stand a chance. Then, what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I didn't know how to fight them. I didn't know who was on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this, so at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of the pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on a wall. I don't feel good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chie-sensei I left early? I shouldn't let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead to chase after me without mercy. And if that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school was over, but I happened to feel sick and left school early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag when I changed my mind and turned around. I don't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Hi, Jose. Welcome in. Chie-sensei, take a look at this. Take a look? Is something wrong with the documents? Yeah. The date and the quote of the invoice are left blank. There's supposed to be today's date there. Oh, they wanted us to leave them blank. They said they couldn't put the same date on the quote and the invoice. They told to leave them blank by General Affairs. Oh, okay then. And the phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which one's the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice that. Hello, excuse me. Yes? What's the matter? Well, the phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which one's correct? Oh. It's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used to use from the former office. Sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with a new number. I guess she forgot. Apologize for the confusion. Can you just erase that number? Oh, fuck, that was so good! Oh my god. Guys, that was such a good chapter! I'm sorry, but I fucking love the writing. The writing in these doesn't miss. Holy shit. Oh my god. It does not miss. It was very educational. True. But like, do you see what they did? Like, right when we thought we were getting all the answers, all of a sudden now they made us doubt if we're crazy. Did you? It's so good. Like, I don't even have like the right words for it, bro. That shit is so clean. I can't believe this shit. The fact that Renee's like, I'll test it. I'll test it. I'll make sure it's the right phone number. And it's like, it was the wrong phone number, and they're just like, oh yeah, sorry. So it's like, gaslighting at its finest, right? But like, who's getting gaslit? Is it us? Well, it's definitely us. Let's be honest. It's definitely us. But like, but then who's getting gaslit in the story? Is it Reina or is it Keiichi? It's definitely not Mion. I feel like Mion knows everything. It's definitely Rika. My god, what did Rika do to you? She wasn't even in this chapter. You know, we haven't even like seen her in this book, honestly. She was like in a couple chapters. Like, I know she was in the Garage Jump and had some really cool lines when Reina was talking about like how no one did nothing. She had some really cold lines about how like, and she seemed way more mature than she was. So I guess she's like in it a little bit, but like she hasn't even really been in this book. Nah. I don't trust her with the more books we read. That is so fair. That is so valid. That is so valid. Oh, this is such a good chat. So like, so who here still in the chat thinks that it is parasites, and who here thinks that we are just being gaslit? Like, is it bugs or are we just crazy? Any thoughts, anybody? It's definitely not bugs. Alright. Both? Bold. I like the approach. And it's dumb if it is. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, you're valid in saying I don't think it's bugs, because, I mean,
IDK, man, I feel like bugs aren't gonna explain the time loops shenanigans, you know? But, yeah, we still got some books. Fuck, we still got some chapters in this one, honestly. But yeah, there's books after this one, too, so I don't think we can honestly expect to get answers. Oh, look at this. This woman got killed. Definitely time traveling books. Seize your happiness. Fuck yeah, Higurashi. Oh, good shit, though. Good chapter. Really good writing in this one. God lord, I love that. Right, my throat hurts. When I gave Reina that voice, I went into it thinking that, like, I'd never have to read a whole book in her voice, but, here we are. My throat hurts. Seize your fucking happiness. Yeah. So yeah, my throat hurts, so I'm gonna wrap it up now that we've had our little book talk. Next stream is tomorrow. We're doing something, so stay tuned for that. Hope you come on by for the thing, whatever we're doing. I don't remember what it is. Yeah. Get rest. Thank you. Seize your time traveling books. Yeah. Alright, guys. If I don't see you in the next one, I will see you when I see you. Everyone have a good night, a good evening, and Veil Guards, you are dismissed. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.